Hi everyone. Welcome to day 6 of this creative endeavor of practicing some yoga and just putting pen to the page and practicing getting our thoughts on paper, dreams, worries, feelings, just getting it all out on the page. And I hope that these practices have been useful and perhaps enlightening for you. Who knows what? They've just been really incredible practices for me. So I am excited to share them with you. And today is day 6. And I don't need to go through like what we're going to do, because if you've come along this far, you sort of quote know the drill. We're going to do some practice, and then I'll read a poem and we'll write. All right. I'm on the ground. I was hoping that we can start just doing some postures on the ground today. So get yourself set up with a mat. If you don't have a mat, maybe you have some nice carpeting or something that you can lie down on. We're going to actually start on our belly and in a pose called Sphinx Pose. So I've got my forearms down, and if that's too much, if this is too much on your back, then you're going to bring your elbows further out and further out. If it's still too much on your back, then you can cross your one palm over the other and put your forehead on your palms. So obviously different ways to access the posture here, but definitely keeping it more, of a formal practice so that we have some boundaries and ways in which we set ourselves up here and prepare. My elbows are right underneath the shoulders, and I'm pressing my forearms down and elbows toward my body. That way I can release the shoulders down and reach up through the crown of the head. I think this one is, we underestimate the power of this posture, because in the beginning it's like, I got it, no problem. And then the longer you're in it, the more sort of surfaces, and it becomes quite a dynamic posture. We're going to just be here and breathe for about 30 more seconds. So I know it's tempting to squeeze your butt, but resist that temptation and even jiggle your butt, relax, and continue to bring your sternum forward and up. So you have this beautiful crescendo in the trunk of your body, and let your heels fall out, the pinky toenail on the ground. Good. Just a few more breaths here. If it's becoming too much on your neck, you can lower your head down. All right, good. So cross your palms one over the other and put your forehead down, and just a few breaths. Okay, and then come up on your elbows, put your hands around your face, kick your feet up, and you can just let your legs go side to side as you massage your cheekbones and the jaw. And take your thumbs behind the ears and the hands around the cheeks, and just let your head drop down a little bit, as if you're looking at a little ladybug or a blade of grass. Just contemplating the tiny things in life and marveling, paying attention to the surroundings, to your imagination, Good, and then lift your head. Let's lower the legs down, right arm off to the right, left hand underneath your left shoulder to help you pivot onto your right side. You can just let your head drop down. Option to stay here or extend the left leg behind you. I like to bend my left knee and point the knee up so I can open up a little bit more in my shoulder, my right shoulder. Obviously, you don't want to do anything where there's a pinch or where you feel like you're shoving or pushing. That yoga is really an art form of non-harming, putting out effort, but making sure that your effort is graceful. Good, and then let's reverse our steps. So left on top of right leg, and then you're gonna pivot onto your abdomen. And here, let's organize our hands under the shoulders. Inhale, come up to a cobra. Exhale, lower yourself down. And let's do a few of those, cobra. Awakening the spine. Cultivating pliancy in our bodies. Good. Oh. Once you get going, you just don't want to stop. These feel so good. Great. Okay, now let's do the other side. So legs are together. The right hand stays under the right shoulder. Extend the left arm off to the left and pivot onto your left side. Option to bend your right knee and put your right foot down on the ground. Just noticing the sensation in your body as we move from one shape to the other. And then gently move all the way back through onto your belly. And this time we're going to put our hands off the mat onto the fingers, widen the feet as almost as wide as your yoga mat, and then open up to a cobra shape that's a little wider, more expansive through your collarbones. Lower yourself down. And a few more of these. So it doesn't matter how high you come up because we're not in a performance and we're not competing with anything. We're obviously in a practice, doing the best we can and helping ourselves out. Really, yoga is here to support us. Our body is here to support us. So I guess that's a really long way of saying, be kind to yourself. And then come onto your forearms. We're going to cross them in front of the chest. Bend your right knee until your right thigh is, your right knee's coming right off your right hip. And then gently guide your right hip down. Reach up and out through your crown of your head. If this is too much, you can lower down onto your forearms. And if you want a little bit more intensity, you can come up on your finger pads. Good, and then lower yourself down. Extend the right leg back. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And let's try the other side. Left knee up. Organize your elbows right underneath your shoulders so that you have a right angle. That's going to give you some stability with your structure, your sound structure, and the shoulders drop down and your sternum learns how to come forward and up. And that way we begin to kind of break out of our back, so to speak. That probably didn't sound very good to break back, but it's like you're sort of busting out of the heaviness of this shell of our back. And as we age, it can be even more heavy and burdensome. Even with our – just our memories can be heavy. So that's why we continue to practice yoga, to open up our potential, the front of our body. And I feel like that's why I'm writing right now. I'm writing so that I release any kind of heaviness, or self-consciousness or not enoughness, whatever it is that gets in the way. I think it's just human, or who knows, something in our culture where there's a lot that maybe can push us down or diminish us. And so what an awesome practice that liberates us, expands us, releases. Okay, that's good. Now we're gonna extend the left leg back and just like flutter, kick your legs because it's fun. And then put your hands again underneath your shoulders and let's climb up again to a cobra. So up and down, and a few more. All right, so nice. Now bend your knees to reach your hands back. You might be able to hold your ankles, you might not. So either way, it's fine. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, press up through the palm or the soles of your feet. Open up through your collarbones. Lift the knees up. Good. It's kind of fun to rock a little bit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower yourself down, gently release. Make a little palm pillow, put your forehead on it, and breathe. Okay, we're going to do that one more time, but if you prefer, you can also do a posture called Shalabhasana, where your arms are by your sides and you lift up the legs this way, the chest, or you can bend the knees, grab your ankles and come up. So here we go. Steadiness and ease, everybody. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower yourself down. Again, make a little pillow. All right, put your hands under your shoulders. Press up and back very, very slowly, gently to child's pose. So you can take your knees out wide or bring your knees and thighs together, lower your forehead down. Then lift up onto your fingers and walk your arms and your trunk of your body over to the right and look out. So there's a piece of you really anchored back and there's a piece of you reaching forward. And then you get to play in the space between. And then let's walk over to the left side. Keep reaching out. A little piece of you is looking out, so your field of vision is open. Good, and then walk to the center. Lower your forearms, make a little prayer with your hands, and lift your hands behind your head. So with your hands behind your head, it's like you can think like, wow, I'm just acknowledging everything behind me, my memories, everything behind me in my life that's brought me to this moment, just a bit of acknowledgement. And then lower the forearms down. Option to just stay here for a child's pose for a few breaths, or you can keep your forearms down, tuck your toes, and lift your hips up. So we get into the legs. Good, find more of a back bend here, a little bend of the knees, you can even bounce. Awesome, then lower the knees down, come to a child's pose. Love the name of this pose. I like to rename it as Leave Me Alone pose. It's like you're in your little cocoon, you know, you're in your like room of your own. And let's slowly inhale, rise. And just take a moment here to acknowledge yourself, acknowledge your presence, acknowledge this practice that you make time for. Deep breath in and release. Exhale it all out. Yay. Okay, so you could just sit here, or if you'd rather, you can sit in a chair, whatever you're comfortable with. And we're gonna make hopefully a smooth transition to writing. I hope it's smooth. If not, you know, you can turn it off and have some water and take a break and then come back to it. That's also maybe works for you. I picked out a poem today that comes from a book. Actually, it's much longer than what I'm going to read to you. There's a whole book on this, and the poem is called I Remember by Joe Brainerd. And I'll just read it. You just relax and see how it lands with you. I Remember by Joe Brainerd. I remember the only time I ever saw my mother cry. I was eating apricot pie. I remember how much I used to stutter. I remember the first time I saw television. Lucille Ball was taking ballet lessons. I remember Aunt Cleora, who lived in Hollywood. Every year for Christmas, she sent my brother and me a joint present of one book. I remember a very poor boy who had to wear his sister's blouses to school. I remember shower curtains with angel fish on them. I remember very old people when I was very young. Their houses smelled funny. I remember daydreams of being a singer, all alone on a big stage with no scenery, just one spotlight on me, singing my heart out and moving my audience to total tears of love and affection. I remember waking up somewhere once and there was a horse staring me in the face. I remember saying thank you in reply to thank you, and then the other person doesn't know what to say. I remember how embarrassed I was when other children cried. I remember one very hot summer day, I put ice cubes in my aquarium and all the fish died. I remember not understanding why people on the other side of the world didn't fall off. So great. So you could probably imagine that the jump off line is I remember. And that's it. You just keep coming back to I remember. I also want to mention that it doesn't have to be like I remember and you go way back in your past. It could be like I remember waking up this morning and walking up the stairs and trying to figure out where the coffee was, you know, and it could just be like just a short, like just what happened the day before. I remember the phone call, whatever it is. So you can begin it wherever. And the jump off line is I remember. I'm going to read it to you one more time, so relax and take it in. I Remember by Joe Brainerd. I remember the only time I ever saw my mother cry. I was eating apricot pie. I remember how much I used to stutter. I remember the first time I saw television. Lucille Ball was taking ballet lessons. I remember Aunt Cleora, who lived in Hollywood. Every year for Christmas, she sent my brother and me a joint present of one book. I remember a very poor boy who had to wear his sister's blouses to school. I remember shower curtains with angel fish on them. I remember very old people when I was very young. Their houses smelled funny. I remember daydreams of being a singer all alone on a big stage with no scenery, just one spotlight on me, singing my heart out and moving my audience to total tears of love and affection. I remember waking up somewhere once. There was a horse staring me in the face. I remember saying thank you in reply to thank you, and then the other person doesn't know what to say. I remember how embarrassed I was when the other children cried. I remember one very hot summer day I put ice cubes in my aquarium and all the fish died. I remember not understanding why people on the other side of the world didn't fall off. So there you go. That's your poem today and your prompt to write. And here's the deal. You're gonna lower the bar. You just let go of expectations, and if you get bored or if you get stuck or whatever happens, you could just keep coming back to I remember, even if like you fill a couple lines with I remember, and trust that it will come. So relax, be at ease, and write it all on out right here, right now. You've got this.